Hey everyone, in this video we are going to add the ability to aim down sight of our weapon. The main reason why I want to do that now instead of later is because as it stands right now, we can't really tell exactly. I guess if we turned on different, well, okay, look, there are some ways that we could do it. We could turn the line trace back on. We could look at the impact effects we have set up, but quite honestly, I feel like this feature is kind of long overdue. And if we are aiming, then our line traces are going to go perfectly straight out. We won't have to worry about any sort of bullet spread thing. So let's go ahead and do that now. So inside of our character, we already have an is aiming variable. But we want to create an input action for aiming. So let's go into our settings, project settings, input, and let's make another one and call this aim, and we'll make it right mouse button like that. Back in our player, in our action mappings, let's call upon aim. All right. So I don't want to be able to aim while we're reloading. That's first and foremost. Let's get is reloading. And let's say not. And let's say if. And we'll put that on the pressed. Don't want to be able to reload while we're aiming. Now, the way that we're going to do this is we're going to use an event dispatcher. All right. We don't necessarily have to, but I'm going to do it this way just to show you how to use event dispatchers. But first and foremost, we want to set is aiming to be true here. If we press the button, and then if we release, we want this to be set back to false, like that. So let's go ahead and create this event dispatcher. And we'll call this aim enter. And we'll call another one aim exit. So what you can do with an event dispatcher is if you drag it out, you can call, you can bind, or assign. I believe all we'll be doing here is calling and binding it. So when you call in okay, let me explain this way. You can bind event dispatchers to multiple different events that exist within your game. So if I create a custom event and I say hi, so these little nodes, you can bind event dispatchers. You can connect them to that. That's what these little nodes are for. So what you can do is you will bind an event to an event dispatcher, and then you can call that event dispatcher, and whenever it's called, it will also call all of the other events that it is binded to. So when we click this, let's call aim enter. Let's just tell the game that we have entered our aim. We want to call movement stopped. So if we aim, we want to not be sprinting. That is always a good thing to do. And then let's go ahead and get our loadout. That was weird. And switch it on. And copy paste. We want to do this twice. So let's switch it on there. And then let's call aim exit when we're not aiming. And we can line this up actually. Make it look kind of nice. Let's switch that on here as well. Okay, now let's get our character movement component because we want to check to make sure. Well, we want to set our walk speed, so set max walk speed, and we want to do this for both of these. So the target, and then for has weapon, missed it, has weapon, like that. That looks fine. So if we aim our exit, if we exit our aim, we want to get max walk speed. That variable we set to 750. And then we can set this to be a variable too, but I'm just going to set it to 250. This is going to be, I'll be nice. Aiming walk speed. This will be, I'll put this in movement. Max walk speed. Aiming walk speed will be 250. So if you'd like to promote that to a variable, you can change that as well. And so I'll just slows player down when aiming. We don't want to be able to move at full speed while aiming. It won't look good. It'll also feel very hard to move around and aim. Most games, when you're aiming, they slow your walk speed down like this. So that's what we're doing there. Okay, so that's all we need to do within our character. The next thing that we need to do is we need to go inside of our weapon base. Let's go to the event graph. And let's go up to event begin play right here. And we have this player reference here. So we can actually do this straight out of here. So let's bind event to aim enter. So here's our event dispatcher right here. And let's do it again. Bind event to aim exit. Like that. So now we can create a couple events and bind them to this. So when this happens, these events will also happen. All right. So let's create a custom event and call this weapon aim enter. And let's create a variable is aiming weapon. And we'll set that to be true. And then for aim exit, let's do the same thing. We'll say weapon aim exit. And these will be short events. They're just going to turn this Boolean on and off. Okay. And we'll say binds aiming bool to ADS input action on DP player. So what this is doing is it's binding these variables with these ones, essentially. And there are other ways you can do this, right? But I wanted to show you how to do it through an event dispatcher. So you can create a much more complex line of code, script, event, or whatever out of here and bind that to something. And you can bind things multiple different times and like have like 7 different events fire off all at the same time whenever you call an event dispatcher. An easy way that we could have done that is on our interact script. We could have just created one of these called interact, and we could just call interact, and our interact action event input action could just say call interact, and then we could have a bunch of different events binded to that, and one of them could be an event that so we could have like custom event and call this interact or whatever, and then plug that in, and then we could bind that to an event dispatcher and then call it right here. It's a different way you could do things. But yeah, we're not gonna do it that way. So because we're too cool, you know? One thing that I want to do here is auto reload on empty. I want to call weapon aim exit this event, weapon aim exit. Oh, wow, that's like literally right there. Wait, yeah. Am I? Okay, yeah, these are just in weird order. Okay, so we're calling this event. So when we automatically reload on empty, we want to exit our aim. We don't want to still be aiming and reloading at the same time. So that is good to do. A lot of this is going to be in our sniper rifle because the sniper rifle aiming, since it's a scope, is going to work a little bit differently. So binding these in here will help us out when we create the sniper rifle. So you might not see a whole bunch of functionality with it right now, but it will come back later on. So the next thing that we need to do here is go inside of our anim blueprint on our character, because we're going to use this cache pose and create a whole another thing and then cache that pose and then plug that into there. But before we do that, we need to make sure that all of our things are set, all of our variables. And I actually remembered, so we need to create 3 variables in our weapon base. So we'll call one x offset. All these are going to be floats, by the way. So I'll have an X offset, a Y offset, and a Z offset. And I'll put this in a category called aim. So let's do the X, Y, and Z offset first. So let's add those variables in here now. X offset of type float, Y offset, once again floats, and then Z offset. All right, and then we want to get is aiming, and that'll be a Boolean like that. All right, so let's go over here after is reloading. Let's go ahead and set is aiming. Let's get the player reference and get is aiming. And we'll say aiming bool. I don't even know. I'm getting lazy with my comment boxes. I know what this stuff does. But it's nice to have them separated still. Okay. The next thing we want to do is let's get the player. Let's get the current weapon. And then let's get the X offset. And then set that as X offset right here. Like this, just like this. And then let's do it again. But for the Y offset, and set that as the Y offset. And then one last time, put the Z offset, and we'll set that as this. So this is, I'll explain this later, what these numbers are doing. We'll say offsets for weapon aiming. So these variables is X, Y, and Z. We're going to customize per weapon to be able to dictate where we want to actually move the weapon to make it look like it is intersecting with the screen at the exact middle point right there. So now that we have our variables set up, we can now use them. So let's grab X, and let's grab Y, and let's grab Z, and let's grab is aiming. I want to grab all of them. We're going to start out with loadout pose. So let's get it. I broke it from there and grabbed it. And we want to, as per usual, we want to transform, modify a bone. The bone we're going to modify is B, spine 1, yet again. What we're going to do is we're going to get rid of the scale and the rotation, and we're going to split. I think I said that wrong. Get rid of the scale and the rotation and split the translation. And then we're going to plug X, Y, and Z into those values there like that. And let's go ahead and get a new animation. Let's go to shooter game animations, and there should be one called rifle aim. Rifle aim, yes. So let's hit yes. Let's go to player skeleton, retarget. I think this actually has like there is a sound effect that we can add in here. So if you want to, you can click here on add notify and play sound and then slot the sound in. You'd probably have to fix the sound file. But we've got that added now. So let's go back to our anim blueprint and let's go rifle aim. And this is going to create a local to component. So we're taking our rifle aim animation and then we're going to offset the spine by different values that we will set, because this rifle aim is not going to perfectly set up each weapon to be perfectly aiming in the center of the screen. So we're going to be able to set these numbers accordingly to make it look better. So then let's blend poses by bool. Let's plug this in for the true pose. If we are aiming, then yes, we want to do this. If we're not aiming, we're just going to use this loadout pose that we have here from the output of our reloading. Sorry, I got a little confused there. at my own script. Try to sneak this in here. Ooh, yeah. Okay, and then let's cache this pose, and we'll say, loadout aiming pose. I'm running out of names here, y'all. All right, and then let's get loadout aiming pose. Come on. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
6.5 hours later.
There we go. It might have been right there the whole time, and I'm just blind. Whatever. Okay. Yep, let's go ahead and adds offset to turn weapon during aiming down the sight, or whatever you want to say there. And then we'll do our usual nice color. So that's going to do that. So now, oh, what is it not like? Transform by no components to modify selected. Oh my gosh. I always make this. I hate how it always is default ignore. Make sure you set it to add to existing, and then it won't give you the error. So now if we come in and grab a weapon and we aim, you can see how it's not perfect. It's doing what it's supposed to be doing, but it's not, clearly not in the right spot, right? But it is aiming, and you'll notice that that is like perfectly, I mean, our auto rifle doesn't do any damage, but you can see how that's like perfectly showing up where we want it to, opposed to this, right? So it's doing the bullet spread thing, and then it's aiming perfectly. It just looks stupid and ridiculous. So the next thing that we're going to do is I'm going to tell you what these values are for each weapon so that, well, it doesn't look awful. So let's go ahead and do that now. I'm going to give them to you in rapid fire action. All right, so for the auto rifle, you're going to have an X offset of 1.5. The Y offset is going to be -10. And the Z offset is going to be 2.5. Compile and save that. We're gonna do the pistol next. Probably should have done it first. X offset is 0.9. The Y offset is going to be 15, so it's gonna push that forward quite a bit. And then the Z offset's gonna move it upward. It's gonna be 9.2. The shotgun's next. An X offset is gonna be 1.3. Y offset is gonna be -0.5. And then last but not least, the Z offset is going to be 7. So halfway through immediately, let's just show this off. So we got this weapon, this weapon, this weapon set. So now that looks, you can still see the white dot. We're gonna make that disappear in a second. But that looks really, really good, I think. And the shotgun also is like very accurate right there. So it's all working good. Let's go ahead and do the next one. The sniper rifle is gonna work a little bit differently, so you actually don't have to worry about it at all. So yeah, don't worry about it. But for the grenade launcher, the X offset is going to be 0.5. Y is going to be left at 0. And then Z is going to be at 0.5 as well. And then finally for our rocket launcher, the X is going to be a value of 1. Y is going to be left at 0 once again. And then Z is going to be -4. So with all that done, like I said, the sniper doesn't matter, but we have some clipping issues with the rocket launcher, but the grenade launcher looks good. This is also going to shoot an arc. The last thing that I think that we should do is we can go into our, where did I put that? Blueprints, into our HUD, and we can, well, we'll probably have to add a begin play, right? Get a reference to our character. And then cast to the player. Okay, and then we'll get an if statement out of here. And then we'll say get is aiming. If we are not aiming, then we want to draw the rectangle. So we see the little line. We come here and it goes away. So that little white dot disappears now when we're aiming, just like the rest of the crosshairs do. So we can just use that as the reticle. So we don't really want to see that white dot all the time. So that's a script that I made pretty ugly. I'll make it look beautiful in a second. And you can do that as well if you'd like. Otherwise it works. But that is how we aim in our game. And the bullet spread thing looked like it worked just fine. So that should be all well and good. So yeah, that is how you aim in video games. I'm gonna wrap this video up. And yeah, I will see you in the next one.